back.
Picking up where we left off. Let's
Part
go.
part two from episode 10. Episode 10 considered of wealth and retirement.
Retirement,
So
yeah.
the first part we dove into a little bit into wealth. Second part we're gonna dive more into retirement. Just to kind of recap what we talked about last time. We talked on how the wealthy or wealth isn't just for the rich. It's
Right.
for people that take the right action to get there, people that have the right information, or people that overall just seek the information, or hop on a meeting with us. Anything you want to touch on about part one?
Well, part one, I think we were rolling, and unfortunately, for whatever tech issues, it just ended. So I want to pick up where we left off, and I know it was around, why most don't build generational wealth, or maybe something around why most people don't want to invest, or something like that. So I guess just in that kind of area of discussion, let's pick up from where we left off and then get into the rest of the questions, because all we want to do is give the right amount of gain to those who are looking for it. Simple as that.
Okay. So to touch on that, last time since we got cut off, we just asked a couple of questions and answered those questions. But something that might be a little cool is to kind of set up like a timeline, like a retirement timeline to acknowledge what somebody's doing at this point and something that some like people that aren't doing, and then just kind of go from there. So like
Yeah.
say somebody's in their 20s right now. What's something that they should be doing, and what's something that you see that a lot of people don't do that can hurt them in the long run?
Great question. So, what you should be doing for a quick answer is investing, especially if your company offers you a 401k or a 403b. Those are pretty much the same thing. And the reason why you want to do that in your 20s is because if you think of every dollar you put into that account and you think of the time it will have to grow between your 20s to 60 years old, there's a great there's a great chance that those dollars will grow. So can't guarantee anything, but if you have 40 years of chances to grow, you likely can come out in a better situation than somebody who starts at 40. They only got 20 years for that to happen, right? And I know, some people in their 20s might hear that and go, "Well, that's crazy. I'm not thinking that far. I want to retire at 40." And just to make sure that people understand the facts, a 401k or a 403b is built to be used in your 60s. There's literally penalties that you will pay if you access it before that age, right? So if you are in your 20s and you're watching this and you want to know more about investing, or you want to know about, how can I set myself up for the future, the main thing is understanding that you should be investing, and you should also try to develop, if you don't already have, an abundant mindset. So that is the opposite of a scarcity mindset, where scarcity mindset basically is when you're thinking, I don't have enough, so I won't do it yet, or I don't make enough to invest, instead of thinking, how can I make enough to invest? That would be the abundant way to do it.
Yeah.
And most times, to answer your question, people, especially in their 20s, fresh out of college, or even, maybe you went to high school, you graduated at 18, you just started to work, you think with a scarcity mindset, if that's how you were raised. So you go, well, I don't make enough to do that. And honestly, there's never an amount that is enough. So that is something that is pretty much, we are trying to battle that, you and I, all the time, just getting people to understand, to think with abundance and not scarcity. So, with that being said, most times people will try to invest at least 10% of their income. So it doesn't matter what your income is, just take 10% of it and put it into that 401k, or even your own IRA. Like, hey, I know I'm not going to stay at this job, or I'm at a job that doesn't offer me that. set up an IRA where it's controlled by you now, and you can still put that same 10% in. So it doesn't matter if you make 20,000 a year, you can still put 10% of that in.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. When was the best time to start investing?
Yesterday. It's always gonna be yesterday. But honestly, there's never a bad time to start,
Mm-hmm.
ever. It just kind of depends on when you start and when you want to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go, well, there's never a bad time to start, I'm gonna start when I'm 50. Cool, because now you can do that, but you probably won't be finished until you're 90.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important to try to capture as much time or get as close to that 40 years of investing as possible, because the real backbone of what I'm saying is in 40 years, the value of the dollars that you're holding, if you're just holding them and not investing, it's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're investing them, the value of those dollars that you invest should go up.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that simple.
And I mean, when we think about the market, we talked about this yesterday too, but the reason why the best time was to start yesterday is because yesterday you can't get back.
Right.
And right now, you have the most time that you will ever have, because tomorrow you'll be one day less of what you would have had.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's mad important, and the money itself like compounds with time,
Yeah.
but also with however much you put in there. And another thing we talked about yesterday was the cost of waiting example,
Yeah, yeah.
where the guy on the left invested from 25 to 35, and he put in 5,000 a year, and then he just let that money grow. After 35, he didn't put a dime into it, and then the person on the right started investing at 35 to 65, and he put in 5,000 a year. So his total contribution was 150,000. The guy on the left contribution was 50,000, and when they was both 65, the person on the left still had more money than the guy on the right.
Exactly.
So that shows that time is very important. The earlier you start, the more time the money has to compound.
Yeah.
And to kind of dive a little bit deeper, what happens when someone gets to retirement and they did not invest?
They typically don't get to retirement. You just keep working. So I love that question, because we sometimes forget how, as we get older, we should not be working as hard. You shouldn't be, laying bricks and doing things that are physically demanding.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are and you're 50, how long can you do that? How long can you really withstand that amount of labor? And the reason why I ask that is because sometimes people go, well, I'm working forever. I'm not going to, why do I need to retire? People say that until they get to the point where they're 60 or 70, where you physically can't even get out of the bed because you've been working so hard for so long that even if you wanted to stop, you couldn't, because you have not built up any passive income. And we talked about that yesterday, active versus passive income. Like, retirement is literally you living off of passive income. So while you're creating and working for active income, some of it has to be invested to the passive side. So the people who do retire, the people who do get to age 60 and have literally invested in the 401k and other investment vehicles for the last 40 years, they have enough passive income to go, all right, I'm done. And that passive income might end up being more or around the salary that they've already been working for. So imagine that. Imagine like to answer your question, like, yeah, the person who has never invested, he or she won't get to retire. But imagine them looking next to him and seeing somebody in the same age retiring. And they're like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
The answer would be investing. And then imagine the feeling that will come over that person who knows you have to now go to work.
For the rest of your life.
And this guy's gonna chill on the porch.
Facts.
And
Now,
still get a check.
I feel like just the thought of working for 20, 30, 40 years and then not being able to retire, it just doesn't seem like that is like, it doesn't seem like that should be a thing, but this is a thing more often than not, because
Mm-hmm.
people don't think about it until they get to that point where it's time to retire. And you go to check your your statements or whatever, and it's not really
It's two
no
thousand
it,
dollars a month you gotta live off of.
and it's not enough. It's not gonna
It's
maintain your
not.
lifestyle. Somebody's birthday come around, you hesitating to give them $20 because you don't, it's
Yeah,
just not fair,
it's
and
not,
it
bro.
can be it's 100% avoidable.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of touch on how that can be avoidable is like, you know, meeting with an advisor can be a solution.
For sure.
Um, Being proactive, seeking information, things of that nature, and to kind of touch on the advisor part. Why is an advisor important when it comes to retirement, and how does wealthy people um, utilize advisors?
Well, the reason why they're important is because they give you some guidance. They give you the understanding that you need, and a good advisor will do it in a custom fit way. It's not just do this, do that, and he told 10 other people that same thing.
Mm.
A good advisor will understand you and your situation and your surroundings, like your family and your dynamics that kind of play into what makes you, able to create enough income,
Mm.
and they can give you that guidance to know, okay, let's just say you're 45. I've been your advisor since you were 30. Yeah, okay, over the last 15 years, you've grown X amount of dollars, things are going well, but maybe it might be time to switch away from, you know, certain things you might be invested in that are just not working. Matter of fact, prime example, like imagine if the last 15 years, part of your investment was like in Nike. I would be like, yes, it's not time to do that anymore
Mm.
because, and not to bash Nike, but just to give a real example, if you were putting whatever amount of money into Nike in the form of an investment, you
Mm.
could take that and now pour it into energy or tech because you see the way the world is going with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And but you also see if you leave your money with Nike, it's like realistically, Nike is done growing as a company. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, it was booming because it was booming.
Yeah.
But realistically now, is Nike booming? It's a staple, but it's not the only thing anymore. You
Yeah.
got Asics, New Balance.
People aren't dying to get Nike anymore.
Exactly. So the value of their shares
Mm-hmm.
has limited room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But if, like I said, as an advisor, you go, well, let's take that money and shift it over to tech, where you see almost everything we do has an AI aspect now.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, there's a lot of room for growth. So as you talk about this and as you kind of like get the understanding of, oh, let me make my money work for me, you have to have your money in the right place to be working.
Mm-hmm.
So shifting it is what an advisor can help you do. And
Mm-hmm.
shifting it can change because back to the example of you being 45, what if for the next 15 years you get to capture a lot of that growth and where, okay, 15 years more comes by and now you're 60,
Mm-hmm.
your 401k might be up over $1 million, where if you didn't make that shift, it might be in the $700,000 range.
Yeah.
Both great, but just completely different
Yeah.
of a lifestyle you would have at 60.
People want to maximize their opportunity.
That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
And to further answer your question, wealthy people, I feel like when it comes to wealth, I always say this: wealth is a product of the mind, not the pocket. It doesn't matter how much money somebody has. If they're wealthy, it's usually because they're smart enough to know
Mm-hmm.
I need help in certain areas, or
Mm-hmm.
I should delegate certain tasks to an advisor because I can then use my time to grow my empire or my company or whatever. But like a wealthy person understands that because they have that knowledge to just kind of develop a plan around not trying to do it all alone.
Mm-hmm.
Most wealthy people do things as a committee.
Yeah.
You don't really see wealthy people who just I'm self-made. I don't need anybody. That's not even their body. Like that's not how they operate.
And they don't even have, most times don't get 100% of their revenue.
Exactly. They don't want it. They would rather have 10% of like 100 different revenues than try to have 100% of one revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they look at it. That's why I say it's about the knowledge and really being wealthy just means you think about things a lot different.
Yeah.
And it's optimized for you in the form of dollars, right? It ends up making you a lot more money, but like in the grand scheme of things, if I had less money, but I'm wealthier than somebody who just hit the lotto, and they technically have more money than me, but not the skill set
Yeah.
and the knowledge, it's only a matter of time before that person has less money than me.
Yeah.
And I don't think people talk about that or realize that. And that's why you see the lottery winners who go broke, or the people who got drafted in 2016 who now might not be in the league anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't do what they needed to do with their money, then they might be working at Chick-fil-A or whatever, because it's like you never did the things you needed to do to preserve the money you did have at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so quick little, I know I'm ranting here, but a quick
No,
little
no, no.
side thing.
That's some good info. I was listening to the word today actually, and
Tell me about it.
so the pastor was talking about. He was like, say you got a business and this business like is like self-made and you doing worldly things made this grow up, versus God putting His breath onto it and God helping you do that. So like one way you can do that is by obviously taking care of yourself, doing the right things,
Right.
and also seeking the right information and trying to just be the best person that you can be, because anybody can hit the lottery. It's luck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anybody can hit the lottery, but if say you get the lottery, you don't know, and you don't know how to manage money, but you hit the lottery. Now it's like you got all of this money, but like you like to say, you're gonna squander it. Like the
Yeah.
money's gonna be gone. And to kind of touch on what we talked about yesterday was not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
The wheel is already invented. If wealthy people are utilizing multiple advisors, it's a reason why they're utilizing multiple advisors. Like one, is free to meet, so you don't have to pay to meet this person and get information. You're getting information, you're getting resources, and that's only a positive. Like you said yesterday, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So not reinventing the wheel is an important staple of one, building up wealth, but also making sure that you're in the right place for retirement.
Yeah.
And to kind of touch more on retirement, what do you think is an ideal? Say somebody is 65. What do you think is ideal amount of money to have for them to thrive in retirement?
I guess that it really depends on the definition of thrive to that person. Because sometimes thriving is, waking up and gardening and just relaxing all day. Sometimes thriving is going on 7 trips a year. But to answer the question, kind of, I guess, for the masses, it would be, first of all, you need 4 different buckets of money to live off of. One bucket everybody has, and that's Social Security.
Yep.
So with Social Security, it's going to be taxed, and it is not connected to the market at all. So that's one. But if you're living off of Social Security and you're 65, you would be living off of $3,000 or $4,000 a month, which may not be enough to thrive. Here's why you need the other buckets. So bucket number 2, your 401k or 403b. That's another account that is going to be taxed, but it is connected to the market. So if you retire at the right time and the market's at an all-time high like it is right now, okay, now I got my 3 or 4,000 a month from Social Security. Then I got another $4,000 or $5,000 a month from my 401k, which would basically mean like we got like $1 million in your 401k. But if you've been investing for 40 years, having $1 million is not too crazy. It's not like impossible basically. So imagine that. Now you got your Social Security, you got your 401k you're living off of. That's $8,000 a month that could be thriving, right? But that's only what's being given to you and being taxed. The third bucket is your Roth IRA, or maybe a VUL, like a variable universal life, but more common would be a Roth. You might have, I don't know, $500,000 in a Roth IRA after 40 years, maybe, depending on how it's invested. But all that money is going to be tax-free. So let's call it another $3,000 plopped on monthly. So now you go from $8,000 to $11,000 a month. Now, if we're talking into the future, we also have to think, well, is $11,000 a month going to be the same as what you would think it is now? And if we're looking, 30 or 40 years into the future, who knows? We don't know, but we can probably guess 11,000 might seem like 6,000 now. You never know.
Yeah.
Because if you really look back, like, bro, it's 2025, people might be paying rent that's, 1,500, 2,000, 3,000. I would guess that 30 years ago, if somebody said rent was 3,000, they might fall out the chair. They might be like, "What? How?" Right? So as things inflate and the prices go up, we got to factor that in. So the fourth bucket, which is that buffer bucket, that extra money, is cash value life insurance. So like, just got off a meeting showing somebody, hey, if you did, over $1,000 a month in cash value life insurance, yeah, that might seem like that's a lot of money, but by the time they were 64, 65 for this example, you're sitting on $700,000 in tax-free cash value.
Which a lot of people don't have.
A lot of people don't. But if you did have it, and you did now take that cash value and do what's called like, a slurp, so like you're taking money from it, could be another 2,000. So you could be living off of $13,000 a month. $13,000 a month and you do not clock in or out is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah,
To be honest.
and typically, if that's the case, you wouldn't use the life insurance. You wouldn't even, you would use it if you needed it. But if you got 11,000 coming in for the rest of your life every month, you could just say, well, I'll use that cash value life insurance for a one-off thing or a trip or my daughter
house.
getting married. It's gonna be 100,000. I got it. Everybody gonna look at you like, what do you mean you got it? I'm gonna take it from my policy.
And what happens to that policy if you don't touch it?
So are you talking about cash value or are you
Yes.
talking about, well, cash value is part of the death benefit. So a lot of times people ask that and go, well, if you got $600,000 in cash value and you die, what happens? It is already part of the death benefit that will go to your beneficiary anyway. So, side thing that's pretty cool about that, I've seen policies that are really old and back in the 60s where people took these policies out, the death benefit was 15,000, where that might have been a lot in the 60s. But now, since they've continued to pay, their cash value is like 30,000. So you got more cash value than you have death benefit.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, yeah, take a little loan against it, or just take it out, because you still will end up with that $15,000 of death benefit anyway.
Yeah.
And
Facts.
and this is where life insurance becomes such a valuable tool, because if you stop looking at the cost of it and you look at the value, it is always a no-brainer. And then people will go, oh, well, if I know now, I just did that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's why we make this podcast.
And to touch on that, what is ways that people can lean toward a tax-free retirement?
You want to lean towards the Roth IRA or the life insurance. You can, most times you'll have a 401k. Who was blowing me up? New York Life. Anyway, I'll call them back. But most times you'll have those taxable accounts, like Social Security. It's built in, like everybody's gonna get it, or should get it. I'm not gonna say gonna, but if you wanted it to be tax free, stuff money into life insurance instead of the 401k. 401k is cool, especially if you're getting a match. 403b, the same thing. But if you said, I'm putting in, like, because a lot of people don't look, it's the last day of the quarter. If you look at your statement, it'll show how much money you put into this 401k. And if you didn't know any better and you're like, I'm going to go $1,000 a month into it, you could have did that same $1,000 a month into life insurance. And if you start it when you're young enough and healthy enough, then it will far exceed what you would have ended up making or having in an account that's invested into the stock market. Like, so you can have no volatility, no taxes, no penalties. You can grab it whenever you actually do need it. And it's all because you shifted the money that you were pouring into the 401k and you put it into the cash value life insurance. And on top of that, you get a death benefit. 401ks don't necessarily have death benefits. You have to attach a beneficiary, but then that person gets that money and has to pay tax on it and has to use it in 10 years by law.
Hmm.
So, you know, tax-free retirement, Roth IRA, cash value life insurance. Simple as that.
And to touch on passive income, a lot of times people use cash value life insurance as a way to create passive retirement income,
Mm-hmm.
but also, I mean, compared to the 401k, which you don't access until 59 and a half, when it comes to cash value life insurance, you have immediate access to it. So people can use that immediate access, and while that money is growing, use that immediate access to create more passive income and then just put it back,
Yeah,
like real
that's a
estate.
great point because especially for my real estate folks, like if you think about it, if you're heavy into real estate, you want to do fix and flips, you want to do buy and holds, you want to do this, that, the third, whatever. If you're into that already, and then you do a flip and you come in, you got a bag now. It's like, oh shoot, 100 grand. You can just say, I'm going to put that money straight into a policy where it's a one-time thing. Like I just sit that money there, and then over time, maybe over the next 10 years, it'll deduct $10,000 a year and pay for it and be done paying. It's completely paid up in 10 years. You made this flip 10 years ago, but that money is now working for you and it's kind of supercharging that tax-free retirement you want.
Yeah.
So that's a great example of that.
And what is some ways that people, when they do retire, ways that they can make their money last?
Annuities. Annuities is basically a fancy word for saying payments for life. So, you know, if you think about it, like somebody I know, he worked at a job for a while. Not gonna say his name, obviously, or the job, but has his 401k and is like, all right, now what? You roll it into an annuity, and it'll be a guaranteed lifetime annuity. So, like, for the entire lifespan of this person, he will collect monthly or yearly, whatever he wants, a specific amount of money based off of what he rolled into that annuity. So now, you know, you've annuitized your 401k, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm gonna get a paycheck, whether I work or not,
Yeah.
every month, and I'm good.
So for the people out there that may not be too familiar with annuities, what if, say for example, they put in this amount of money and they're getting paid that specific amount, and then they get to a point where this money that's getting paid to them exceeds the initial amount that they put in? What happens then? Do they
You're winning.
do they
That's the whole point.
does it stop when it reaches that amount? That's what I'm saying.
No,
So
that's why you do it.
so basically you get more than what you put in.
Of course, I can literally illustrate that right now if we wanted to, but like, yeah. So like, if you put in $500,000 and you're, you know, in your 40s, but you basically set the income to start when you're 60, that was 20 years. If I didn't forget my example age just now, 40 to 60, whatever. That's 20 years that the insurance company took your money and invested it and made more out of it to be able to pay you from 60 until the end of your life. And if by, you know, 60 you start that income stream and you live to 90. But by 90 they've paid you 600,000. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. So
It's guaranteed
like it's
income.
guaranteed, and but that's why it's so important to understand that, because most of us think, well, oh, the money ran out, so I'm out of money. No, an annuity is built so that your money is everlasting. So you know, there's actually a video with Shaq talking about this, and he's when he was younger, making all this money from endorsements and whatnot, he was still in the league. He saw an older gentleman get out of a Rolls Royce, like how, and he said annuities. And the older gentleman said, you can literally set up as many annuities as you want and live off them when you get older. And that's what the older gentleman did. But Shaq hadn't even known what an annuity was. He was a millionaire and just never even heard that word. So had he not saw that older person and asked, he might have squandered his money. He might have just, I don't got anything else to do with the money. Let me just go buy up this and buy up that. And next thing you know, it's gone.
And that ties back into the importance of having an advisor, because if you have an advisor, there isn't a lot of information that you won't know.
Right.
They're gonna
Yeah.
steer you in the direction that you want to go, and customize solutions for you that fit specifically for you,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that you have the information so that you don't outlive your money and that you can build up a thriving retirement, and then when you get to retirement, thrive in retirement. Um, so the next question I was gonna ask is, how does someone know if they're on track for a good retirement?
I would definitely say a meeting with us, but to get deeper into it, you have many tools now that will show you if you're on course to retire, but it is based on how much you are planning to live off of in retirement. Because if you're trying to live off of 50,000 a year, it's a lot different than if you're trying to live off of 100,000. So that's one factor in determining that. The other factor is, when are you going to retire? Because if you want to retire at 60, okay, that's a different plan. It's a different customized model for you, as opposed to somebody who's like, I'm going to work till 70. So that's another layer. And then the layer that's very important that no one wants to talk about is, how long are you going to live? Because if I have a certain amount of money and I'm 60, but I live to 90, but my plan was like built on living to 85. Okay, I got 5 years of what am I gonna do, unless you chose an annuity that's just a lifetime income.
Yeah.
So, people who don't know any better think that they have to figure it out, where really it's just math. It's just based on how much you want to live off of, when do you want to retire, and what's your life expectancy. Those are the three things that you just have to know as an advisor
Yeah.
to help somebody. And a lot of times, those people who you're helping, they don't even know. They're like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll live off of whatever I make now. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And of course, they don't know their life expectancy, but,
People can live off more if you play your cards right. But also,
Exactly.
a lot of times we meet with people and we ask the question like, "Hey, when do you plan to retire?" And 90% of people be like, "You know what? I never really thought about that."
Mm-hmm.
And that's something to think about, because it's gonna happen. The time's gonna go by regardless.
Exactly.
So we're gonna get to that point, and if we know we're gonna get to that point, we might as well just be proactive about it, because a lot of times in this industry, we help people solve problems that they didn't know they had,
Yeah.
and sometimes we help them solve problems that they didn't know they had, but sometimes it can be too late if they went too long without taking action or without knowing what to do in specific situations.
Yeah. Can I add something? Because I feel like we're in a really weird space in general, because a part of me wants to say, I think the traditional retirement, that whole concept is obsolete. Like, it's not going to be a thing anymore. I think people are just going to go, I'm just working until I'm dead. But another part of me is like, we have more information that is readily available than we've ever had around all of this. So people are more informed and can avoid falling into that retirement, trap of, damn, I can't retire. And I don't know which side is gonna like actually prevail. Maybe both, and there's not gonna be a middle. But like, I just feel like I gotta say that. That's all, because with our podcast and Earn Your Leisure and all these other platforms that are derived around financial literacy, I hope that it helps our society um, learn what school purposely didn't teach them. But I also understand that now more than ever, with the cost of everything going up and the purchasing power of the dollar going down, people might just quit and go, why would I retire? It's already a thing that is changing, where people used to work 30, 40 years at one company and boom, I'm out. No, like, people go 2, 3 years now, change jobs. And that's the norm.
Yeah.
So I don't know which way we're gonna land, but I just had to throw that on the pod, because it's like, you see what I'm saying though, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And it's the information is there. People like, you got to seek it.
yeah,
Knocking the door shall be open to you.
yeah, yeah.
Seek and you shall find.
Mm-hmm.
Another question I was gonna go into, but I was gonna give an example real quick. So I was watching this podcast with Marshawn Lynch and Shannon Sharp, and in the middle of the podcast, he was kind of touching on like how his previous mentality was like get this money, put it in the shoebox or put it under the mattress or something like that, and just
Yeah.
keep it there and just save it there. And then he said he got introduced to a financial advisor, and he seen the value in it, and he ended up having two.
Yeah.
He had one advisor that he let manage his off the field money, and another advisor that he let
Fire.
manage his on the field money.
Okay.
So he
Okay.
had two different advisors, working with different types of assets, giving him a bunch of information and sharpening his financial literacy so that
Yeah.
one, he doesn't have to, just keep money in a shoebox that is depreciating every day,
Mm-hmm.
but he has the information that can allow his money to grow, and he knows how to go about getting ready for retirement. He knows how to go about, you know, taking money for different trips or whatever he's going to
Mm-hmm.
use the money for. He has resources and information that he can lean on to make sure that he's making the right decisions when it comes to money. Um,
Yeah.
and the next question I was going to go into was, how should someone go about saving if they're starting late?
You gotta be aggressive, and I don't mean aggressive in the sense of put money into aggressive funds that are, equity heavy. What I mean is, when you say late, do you mean like 50? Do you
Yeah,
mean
let's say like they like 50, 55.
and with nothing?
Not one dime in anything.
Well, you better be ready to work until you're 80 years old, and that's the sad truth because you need about 30 years of growth. And I know we're doing a pod, but I got to pick this up. This is my wife. Hold on.
Hmm.
Hey, what's going on?
We're gonna put a commercial in here and let people, we're gonna
Yeah.
put the commercial in there, do the ad.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah. Schedule a
Yeah.
meeting with us. It's free. Get a whole lot of
Okay,
information.
cool.
You get to lend that information to family and
Yeah,
friends.
I was gonna meet y'all there.
You know, as a community, we can grow, develop, um, enhance
You want me to pick
our
up?
financial literacy, which is very important
Okay, I
because
will.
80% of stress comes from
Do
financial
that.
stress.
That'll be perfect.
So if you can get more peace of mind in
Okay.
the finance
I gotta go.
aspect
Okay.
of your life, then you can focus more on other things that you need to put time to.
Right back at it. This
So,
how you know it's live. I
yeah.
really had to pick up that phone
Yeah.
call. But anyway, everything
Yeah,
good.
we
So
put a nice little ad in there, a little commercial, you know what I mean? But yeah, so the question was, oh yeah, how should someone start if they're
oh
saving
yeah,
late?
bruh. So if you're 50 years old and you have not invested at all, I hope you have assets. I hope you got some rental properties, or you own a business, or I don't know, Pokemon cards, whatever. But the point is, back to the point of me saying active income, passive income. You literally live off of passive income in retirement. If you only have active income and you have not used it to turn any into passive income, it is very, very hard to retire. But I'm the type of guy who thinks there's always a solution. I'm optimistic. But I would tell that person, you need to try to invest as much as humanly possible between now and forever. 80, who knows? At least 80, because you want 30 years. I mean, 20 years could do it, but you probably still will have to work. But the other side of it is also back to what we were saying. When did you want to retire? What's your life expectancy? How much do you want to live off? Maybe this 50-year-old is like, I only need $30,000 a year. Like I'm living below my means. I'm, cooking, never eating out. Okay, we might be able to do something. But at 50, if you're like, I make 100 grand, I want to live off 100 grand. I would say, well, why not put 10,000, which is 10% of that? Why have you not been doing that?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, if you do not start, you will not stop working because you'll always need active income because you do not have enough passive income. It is very much that simple. The good thing is, with a Roth IRA, legally you can put in an extra 1,000 a year. If you're 50 and above, I don't know how much that's going to help you. But the other side of it is like, hopefully, we never run into that person because it happens where it's like, well, I got a pension. It's like, all right, cool, you got a pension. If that's all you have, then that's all you have. And if that amounts to $2,000 a month for life, but your bills are $1,800 a month, I don't know. You better start a garden, start planting your own food, that kind of thing. Cause
You get a pair of Jordans every month. That's about it.
you gotta eat though. Like
Oh,
you got some Jordans,
yeah.
but you didn't eat all month. That's crazy.
Dang.
And you 50 years old. 50
Yeah.
years old in Jordans already kind of.
Yeah,
It
that's it.
depends on the Jordans.
Maybe some New Balance.
Well, nah, I'm gonna stop because my pops he got J's. He, you
Yeah.
know. But anyways,
Yeah, man. So, is there any other myths out there that
many
should be
myths.
debunked?
I saw Tony Robbins say that your 401k is gonna get taxed at 50%. That is definitely a myth. It's not gonna be 50. It's gonna be taxed, but that's kind of crazy. So he was
That's a
he was
lot.
fake like fear mongering like, oh, you got $1 million in your 401k, but it's really only 500,000. No, it's not. That's not how that works at all. I don't even know why he said that because I respect Tony Robbins, but like people say stuff like that and they don't understand that it's just not true. But it probably is like a 20% tax. So you got $1 million sitting in that 401k. You just got your statement today, and you're like, "Ooh, I'm lit." And $200,000, if it's 20%, is going straight to the IRS.
Yep.
So today at 3 o'clock, we got Register Rep Masterclass. So they talk about, for an hour, they talk about all these concepts when it comes to investing and helping clients. And they make a joke about how like 401ks, you basically are in a joint relationship with the IRS because people don't realize the IRS is going to get some of that 401k. That's just how it goes. You can't do anything about it other than roll your money over and then do a Roth conversion, which is basically like saying just pay the taxes now so that for the rest of your life you don't got to worry about it.
You don't got to pay taxes when you go to take it out.
Right. Sometimes that makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. Like if people are like, I need my money, I can't pay X amount of dollars in tax now, then okay, cool. Don't convert it.
But like, if you think about it, say someone has like 100,000 and they pay the tax now versus what if they have $1 million, they pay the tax then they're gonna pay more.
Those are the people who are smart enough to think about cost versus value. Like, yes, it might cost you something, but the value in the long run is way higher.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is a great example how you just laid that out because the $100,000 person might be like, I don't know, and then they grow it to $1 million. It's like, well, damn, I'm definitely not doing it. So yeah, you got to just think about that.
Could have been 20,000
Could have been
versus
200.
200,000.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really how it is.
Yeah, I think this was a very powerful episode that a lot of people should watch and can benefit from. In terms of people being able to learn more, get more information, customize solutions, where can they find us at?
So, obviously, find us out right on YouTube. Tap into the pod, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I would say for like a real action item, today is the last day of the third quarter of 2025. If you have if you have any retirement accounts, you will be getting a statement. If you don't get a statement, you should be looking for it in whatever self-serve or website that your job has. Bring us your statement. When you bring us your statement, we can investigate what's working, what's not. Also, go over the conversation about life insurance and how you should probably understand life insurance has a very, very specific value that the job will probably not get into detail with for you, right? So, like, have the whole conversation around life insurance, investing, retirement, legacy planning, estate planning. That is something that people should do, but I tell you what, people won't do it all the time unless you give them a little nudge. Or sometimes people are fired up. Maybe somebody just died in their family. Like, man, I got to make sure we don't got to do a GoFundMe. Maybe, But I'm only saying this to hopefully get proven wrong because people will go like, oh, yup, I'm definitely doing that. Cut the pod off, get an email. Oh, I got to respond to this email. Next thing you know, oh, I got to pick up my son. Oh, next thing you know, oh, I got to run to the grocery store. Next thing you know, oh, I got to get groceries. And then it's December. Still never did anything you said you would have done. Then it's, oh, after the holidays. And then it gets pushed further and further away till then you end up being that 50-year-old with nothing saved in retirement. And you come to us asking questions and it's like, you could have took the time to schedule a 30-minute Zoom. You could have took the time to just have that conversation, right? But I think that kind of lends back to the point of wealth being a product of the mind and how wealthy people, they are very efficient with their time. They do not waste it. They understand that, hey, these are things that are important, and yes, I don't want to do it, but I am going to spend 45 minutes getting things situated and then I can go on with my life. So whether you're looking at a bank account that's red or just hit the lotto, becoming wealthy is all about what you know, not what you have, and how you use what you know to operate your life. So just throwing that out there, but to answer your question, I guess Jordan Davis on all the socials. Except for Instagram, it's Jordan DeLorean, but I still put my regular name, so it is what it is. And how can they find you?
Shoot, man. Nashon Ash, LinkedIn, Facebook, um, YouTube, NA.V.O, Instagram, NA.V.O, um,
You got the TikTok?
TikTok, NA.V.O. But yeah, to touch on what you just said, everything that whoever's watching this, everything that you ever wanted in life is on the other side of discipline and information.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. It's that simple. Don't try to reinvent the wheel unless it's a wheel that needs reinventing.
You may have to put that on
Yeah.
a t-shirt or something.
Yeah. And episode 10.
Episode 10.